This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Dell XPS 12. This is the latest edition with Intel Haswell inside. We originally reviewed the first Ivy Bridge that came out, but some improvements here that are really worth talking about, and you might find on a great sale, particularly right now around the holiday season, some insane sales. Worth a look. Pretty neat, isn't it? This is the Dell XPS 12. Some of you are familiar with this because this came out actually late last year, early this year, as an Intel Ivy Bridge 3rd generation Windows 8 convertible. And, well, here's its call to fame. We have the easel style hinge over here. So for those of you who think that the Lenovo Yoga products are cool, but you don't want your keyboard facing down, this solves the problem. This just flips around, and now the lid is automatically facing the keyboard. Close it, and you have a tablet with the keyboard protected. Kind of a nice normal experience. Full HD display with Gorilla Glass, by the way. And here's another nice thing. When you hold this, not only is there no keyboard on the back, but it's that cool Dell carbon fiber thing that they do. And there's actually curves over here. So it feels kind of really nice to hold. It looks like the carbon fiber you see on tricked out cars, that neat pattern. Well, I like that because I kind of do like fast cars, but beyond that, it's durable, it feels nice. It does show fingerprint oil a little bit, you'll see that. And we've got the raised edges here. It's raised up so that the fan actually isn't blocked against ventilation, and also provides some grip points. So ergonomically, very nice. Weighs 3.35 pounds, so not the lightest model, but it is lighter than the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga that's 3.5 pounds, but a little over the 3-pound average for Windows 8 convertible and Ultrabooks that are 13.3 inches. This, by the way, is 12.5 inches, again, just like the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. And here we have this. It's kind of hard to pull up, but if you pull up this metal here, the only thing you're going to see is the service tag and the serial number. Dell just does that to make it look kind of pretty and neat and clean. Sturdy machine, nothing really changed there from the original XPS 12. Carbon fiber over aluminum, and we have a magnesium keyboard deck that has a soft touch black paint finish on it. Sturdy, rugged. The easel hinge has held up well. This product has been on the market about a year now total, the original version that is, and people have not had trouble with their easel hinges. So for those of you who think that that might be a delicate kind of contraption, it seems to be holding up well. And Dell does make solid, kind of rugged, business-oriented products, so I trust it so far. Frame around here is metal. It's aluminum. Kind of a tapered design, as you can see here. And in terms of ports, right here we have our rotation lock button, our combo 3.5 millimeter stereo and mic jack. This is the slider power button. With these convertibles, they tend to put those controls on the side so that you don't have to open it up to control those things. You got power volume buttons rather over here. They're also available on the FN row of the keyboard too. Speaker grill over here. Another speaker grill over here for our stereo speakers that are pretty good. Press this button here and you can see how much battery charge you have left. 2 USB 3.0 ports. We like having 2 USB 3.0 ports. They are kind of close together. It's my only complaint. So if you have bulky USB devices you're plugging in, like LTE dongles, you might need a little extension cord or something so they don't bump into each other. And we have a mini display port, which is handy because you can get a mini display port to HDMI adapter, not too expensive at all, but you can also plug this into DisplayPort monitors like the ones that Dell makes, for example, and drive bigger than full HD resolution displays, and that's where we plug in our power charger. On the front we have the usual 1.2 megapixel webcam up there and a microphone as well, and this is the Windows home button, and this is a clicky button, which is a good thing, I say, because otherwise, you know, with these tablets you tend to rest your hand here and suddenly you're flicking it back and forth between things. Don't want to do that. This will ship with either Windows 8 or 8.1 depending on when your machine was built. It's easy enough to upgrade to 8.1. Just download it from the Microsoft Store. And if we open it up, for those of you who need the practicality of a laptop, obviously we have that too. And we'll flip the screen back. This is done with magnets and springs, by the way, and it feels pretty good. It's a little tighter than it was on the first gen XPS 12. You can lay it that far back. It does not open up all the way flat like ThinkPads do, for example, but that's plenty enough tilt back, especially because this is an IPS display, so you have wide viewing angles. that you're not really going to need to tilt it back more if you're using it in an average position on your lap, on a desk, even in bed. So you can see there's glare here. This is a glossy 10-point touchscreen. There is no pen option, unlike the ThinkPad Yoga. As you can see from the key relief here, we have pretty good key travel. I absolutely love Dell's XPS keyboards. Lots of tactile feel, a little springiness to the keys, yet they're damped so they don't sound clacky and nasty. Feel great, pretty large, very big font on as well, so easy to see. Backlit keyboard also works with auto brightness, and it's actually pretty reliable. Good contrast there, so you don't even need it as much in dimly lit situations because very bright white on black. To be honest, it's tough because ThinkPad keyboards are awesome too, but as their machines get thinner, sometimes it's not the experience it once was with the old-fashioned thick machines. This is my favorite keyboard, to be honest, on 13.3-inch and smaller machines. This is a black, rubbery, soft-touch paint finish on top of magnesium. Feels good, it's grippy. It doesn't pick up too much fingerprint oil. The trackpad does, as you can see right here. And by the way, this is a large glass Synaptics trackpad. Happily, Dell has stopped using the Cypress trackpad that was the bane of the XPS existence for a while, like in the XPS 13. This is much more reliable. This has been out for a little bit, so Dell's had some driver updates, and there was one for the trackpad. At first it was sometimes a little bit weird, but now it works pretty well. The only thing that I've noticed is sometimes when you scroll down with two fingers, it snaps back to the top of the page by itself, which is kind of weird and annoying. Haven't found a way around that. I've noticed if you keep away from the very top when you're doing your scrolling, it's not going to happen if you stick to scrolling down here. Anyway, other than that, really no complaints with it. It has a nice tactile little bit of feel to it, and it works pretty reliably. And because these two are obvious competitors, at least for those of you who don't need the optional pen on the ThinkPad Yoga, here they are together. Both 12.5-inch full HD displays. Again, 3.5 for the ThinkPad Yoga, 3.35 for the Dell XPS 12. And it's funny that this is actually taller, our XPS. I mean, it's the same aspect ratio, same nominal screen size. It's just a difference in, you can see how there's a taller bezel over here. It may have something to do with that. But otherwise, pretty similar in size and in shape. Obviously different in the way they function. As you saw with the Dell, turns into a tablet by simply doing that. And there we have our tablet. ThinkPad Yoga. That's what that guy looks like, and we have a full review of this, written and video review, so check it out if you're interested. This one goes into tablet mode by doing the yoga thing, 360-degree hinge, so here you have your keyboard on the bottom. Some people are bothered by this. This has the lift and lock design, so it actually locks the keys and raises the bezel in between the keyboard keys up so that it feels kind of something more flat. But that's the difference right there. And in terms of thickness, you're looking at pretty much the same thing. The Yoga has a little bit of a lip over here, but other than that, they're pretty close to the same. Dell is just a little bit slimmer. With the XPS 12, you can flip the screen around and have that presentation mode like we've done now. It's really not, you would think it's not designed for tent mode, but it actually is fairly stable. This is a kind of thin, slippery edge, but as you can see, the screen rotation works automatically. And you could use it in tent mode like the Yoga as well, and reasonably stable. Alright, so what's inside and how much is it going to cost you? There is a Core i3 model with just an 80 gig SSD that's $9.99. I generally don't recommend the Core i3s. You lose your turbo boost. Get the Core i5s. Save up a little if you can and do that. The Core i5 model is your standard configuration for an Ultrabook. It's the 4th generation Haswell 4200U Core i5 1.6 gigahertz dual core, 4 gigs of DDR3 RAM and 128 gig SSD, and Dell charges $11.99 on their website for that, though typically in stores I see it for $10.99. And for the holiday 2013 season, Dell has been having a big promotional push, and a lot of retailers are selling that configuration for a crazy low $7.99, which is a real steal for one of the nicest convertibles on the market. There's also a Core i7 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD, and that one is $13.99 on Dell's site. And that's pretty much it for the configurations that are available. In terms of synthetic benchmarks, the numbers are just where we would expect for a machine with a Core i5 4200U Haswell CPU, 4 gigs of RAM, and 128 gig SSD. On PC Mark 7, it scored 4889. 3D Mark 11, 911. That's a pretty good number. It's got dual channel RAM in there, whether you get the 4 or the 8 gigs, so that's going to help with your 3D Mark score. W Prime computed pi in 23.06 seconds. Geekbench 3, the 64-bit test, single core was 2632, multi-core was 5042. So good numbers there and well within range of what we would expect. Other amenities include dual band Wi-Fi and good Wi-Fi. Dell is always nice like this. They know what the geeks are into these days and what's good. And so you have Intel Wi-Fi 7260 AC. That means you have 802.11 AC dual band wireless inside. Pretty much that's the Cadillac of wireless cards for laptops right now. And reception has been quite good. That same card in some of Sony's laptops, like their Vio Pro 13, have been kind of iffy, but here reception has been very strong. Also has Bluetooth 4.0. In terms of other synthetic benchmarks, Crystal Disk Mark that measures the SSD speed. These are very good numbers, particularly for the 4K write, where often we see 90 or 100. So Dell's using a good SSD in there also, nice and fast. In terms of display, again, 1920 by 1080 resolution here. That is full HD. Corning Gorilla Glass 10-point multi-touch. No digital pen option, no active digitizer here if you need that. Very nice, very bright display. Dell claims 400 nits. We measured it at 350 after turning auto brightness off, so I'm not getting quite that level of brightness. Still, it's very bright, very sharp, very clear. Good contrast, 660:1 contrast ratio here. And you can see our color gamut, 71% of sRGB. It's not one of the top panels that achieves 95%, say on the Sony Vio Pro 13, on the Samsung ATBook 9 Plus, and on the Sony Flip 13. Those all have higher color gamut, but still that's a very good number. It's better than average. It's a very nice, colorful display. I think most people look at this and they just rave over the display, and I noticed that reviewers who don't actually measure color gamut think it's one of the best displays I've ever seen. So take that for what it's worth. If you're a graphics professional, this will matter to you, whether you get 95% versus 71% here, but for the rest of the world, it's a nice display. Now this is full Windows 8 here, or 8.1 64-bit. That means you got all your Metro Live Tile stuff here, and you have the Windows desktop. And I have scaling set to 100%. I'm not enlarging scaling right now, so you can see what the icon size is like. I think it's pretty manageable. Of course, you can set the scaling up to the usual default 125% or 150% for such a high-resolution display at 12.5 inches. Honestly, you know, there's some super duper crazy high resolution displays on the market, but at 12.5 inches, this is very sharp. Looks great for watching video, looks wonderful when viewing photographs. Text is nice and sharp too, so I'm not feeling the need to have more resolution, especially because that would affect battery life and the price. And we've got the full desktop version of IE here. You can put Chrome on here, any browser you want, of course, iTunes. Again, this is a full PC. We're just going to test video playback so you can hear what the speakers sound like, and we'll look at Dell Venue Pro 8 reviewed and play that video to see. So if you look at it, the text is nice and sharp here, and the whites are quite white. It's a good quality display. Today we're going to look at something that you guys have been begging and screaming for, a review of the Dell Venue 8 Pro. This is a Windows 8 PC with an 8-inch display, only $299. We're going to look at it now. 54% volume, so pretty loud and full. It's nice speakers.
Pro. The Pro at the end means it runs Windows, not Android. Dell made us feel a little bit confused with that naming, but there it is. This is full Windows 8, 32-bit.
So it's certainly a nice enough experience, and you've got Dell audio software controls on here so you can tailor the audio to your liking, but overall I would say nice audio experience for an Ultrabook kind of machine. When it comes to games, it's like any Ultrabook. If you can do it on any current Ultrabook, you can do it on this. Certainly Left 4 Dead 2, yes, you can do Minecraft, no problem there. World of Warcraft, you can on low settings, and you can play things like Civ 5. That's always a favorite because it has touch controls, and we've got Civ 5 with an expansion pack here. We're going to test it out so you can see how it goes. So here we've got Civ running. It's running in full HD windowed mode, so it's 1920 by 1080, and this is a game we're about 2 hours into, so we have quite a few cities over here. So you can see turn speed is still pretty good, even this far into a game, which is great. And the graphics are absolutely lovely here, nice and sharp. It's not having any problem as we pan around. Nice and smooth. So there it is, Civ 5. Great way to have fun on the road when you're stuck in a hotel. So Dell has a little charger that lights up over here when you plug it in, and it's kind of one of those modern, stylish looking chargers instead of being a boring old brick. It's very compact, very small. Doesn't have a USB accessory charging port on it, unfortunately, and this cord is detachable. And that's the charger on it. So how about battery life, since we're talking about the charger? The good news here, the original XPS 12. One thing that wasn't so great, like a lot of the first Windows 8 convertibles, was battery life. Big changes here, largely thanks to Haswell. Also has a bigger 50-watt-hour battery inside. Fantastic battery life here. Dell claims over 8 hours on a charge, and you know what? I've been running 7 to 8 hours on a charge, and that's with brightness set to 60% and not going into any effort to manage power, just running it on the balanced power mode. So that is absolutely fantastic. Much improved battery life here, certainly all day on the go, and that's hours of actual use time. So for those of us who actually do take lunch, have to go between classes or between meetings, and you put your laptop to sleep, but that time doesn't count. That's the actual time that you're using it. So full business day worth of work on this. Nice. The fan is pretty quiet on it. You're not hearing it now. We played Civ. You can hear Dell does a very good job tuning their fans. It never sounds obnoxious, whiny, and high-pitched. So even when it is running, it's not the most disconcerting or disturbing thing. Certainly you will hear it if you're playing Civ 5. If you're exporting HD video, doing a conversion, you're going to hear it. If you're just using it for productivity, you generally won't hear it at all. And when you do hear it, if it's kicking on for productivity or anything like that, it's not going to be loud or intrusive in any way. The same goes if you're streaming Netflix video. You're not going to hear any fan roaring. This is not like the Sony Flip 13. It's no vacuum cleaner. It may not be the very quietest of Ultrabooks, but it is by no means annoying or loud. Haswell runs pretty cool, and beyond that, carbon fiber everywhere. It doesn't really conduct heat to surfaces, so it doesn't ever get burningly hot to the touch either. So that's the Dell XPS 12 Haswell Edition. Nifty trick right here. Windows 8 convertible, full Intel Core Haswell CPUs. Definitely one of the better Windows 8 convertibles on the market. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website to read the full review of the Dell XPS 12 and hit that like button.